Welcome back to the third video in our word problem series. In this video, we're going to work through another example just to make sure you're prepared for your Intro to Epi course. Here's another big one. Just like before, we start by carefully reading the problem. Say you are an EIS officer working for CDC's National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases. You are notified that FoodNet, an active laboratory and population-based surveillance system, has identified 53 people in 8 states who have been hospitalized with a severe illness. Symptoms include bloody diarrhea, fever, and abdominal cramps, and they have tested positive for the same strain of Salmonella bacteria. Salmonella is typically transmitted through contaminated food, water, or contact with infected animals. Previous nationwide outbreaks have been linked to vegetables contaminated with manure from concentrated animal feeding operations. After interviewing hospitalized cases, you hypothesized that the illness was linked to eating ice cream at several McDonald's restaurants located in 8 western states. Now, like before, we can identify that this first paragraph is mostly filler information. It helps give us a little bit of background, maybe helps us identify the exposure and outcome, but not much else. So we continue reading. It says you decide to focus your study on one McDonald's restaurant in Southern California. You survey 800 people who ate at this location within the last week, 360 of whom ate ice cream. 420 people tested positive for salmonella, 300 of which ate ice cream. Did those who ate ice cream have greater odds of contracting salmonella? Now for step 2, you can see that we're being asked for the odds now, so we're going to have to calculate an odds ratio. And then once we get to step 3 of the problem-solving method, we can identify the exposure and outcome. The exposure being those who ate ice cream at McDonald's, the outcome being the salmonella. So take a moment to pause the video now and see if you can fill out a 2x2 table on your own. Now step 4 tells us to complete the 2x2 table, and yours should look something like the one here based on the information we were given and the remaining cells you had to calculate. At this point, you can even take a moment to look at your 2x2 table checkup first before moving on. Is it labeled correctly? Is our exposure over here, our outcome at the top? Did we put the yes, they have the outcome, before the no, they don't have the outcome, and the yes, they have the exposure, before the no, they don't have an exposure? And do our numbers add up? Do these two equal this? Do these two equal this? Do these two going across equal this? This gives you a little bit of a head start on your checkup at the end. Now moving on to step 5, we'll perform our calculations. In this case, we are looking for this odds ratio. So take a moment to pause the video and see if you can determine the odds ratio on your own using the 2x2 table. Now plugging in these numbers for our formula here, we're going to end up with this. And then plugging that into a calculator, we get something like 13.3. Now, take a moment for step 6. You're going to pause the video and see if you can interpret this result on your own. So we'd say those who ate the ice cream at McDonald's had 13.3 times the odds of contracting salmonella than those who did not eat the ice cream. And we can see that this number is much higher than 1, so it definitely appears significant. Once again, here's our checklist to make sure we've absolutely settled on our answer. We already checked our 2x2 table. We made sure all of this was okay. Then we can double check that we use the correct values to plug in for our odds ratio formula, and that our answer was reported in the right way. So to recap, this video tied together some previous concepts with another word problem example. Hopefully you're getting really good at these by now and feel pretty comfortable with 2x2 tables. Remember, please continue to the fourth and final video in the word problem series for some additional tips for success for Intro to Epi. Thank you.